Hi everyone, my name is Jordan Jones, and today I will be presenting on the Chimera of Arezzo. The Chimera of Arezzo is a piece considered a masterwork of antiquity, steeped in a long, rich history. In mythology, the Chimera was the offspring of Typhon, the Titan god of the storm, and Echidna, the mother of monsters from whom all manner of Grecian monstrosities sprang. The Chimera was a feared fire-breathing hybrid, possessing the head and body of a fierce lion, the head of a goat emerging from its back on its left-hand side, and the tail of a serpent. Seeing the creature foretold great tragedy in the form of storms, shipwrecks, and natural disasters. The myth of the Chimera can be found in many stories, including Virgil's Aeneid and Homer's Iliad. The most well-known story tells of how the beast ravaged the land of Lycia until the Corinth hero Bellerophon, sometimes the son of Poseidon or being blessed by Poseidon, was challenged to the king of Lycia to slay it. Bellerophon rode atop the Pegasus to fatally stab the Chimera through the mouth with a spear. Like many myths, the story is allegorical, speaking of the triumph of right over might. This story possesses immense longevity, becoming popular in Roman art. It can be seen in jewelry, in paintings, and on mosaics. It is even speculated that this story inspired the pose seen in St. George and the Dragon, another tale that tells of the triumph of good over evil. The sculpture stands at life size, measuring 31 inches tall by 50 and 3/4 in length. The Chimera of Arezzo is cast all in bronze, utilizing the lost wax technique, its creation placed in the early 4th century, during the classic period of Etruscan art. A combination of anatomical detail and interest in design make for a complex piece of Etruscan art, clearly, clearly intended for the audience to view this piece in the round. While the artist or workshop remains unknown, the piece shares Etruscan qualities mirrored in other works. The winged lion from Volci in the 6th century BC has its mouth open in a similarly ferocious manner, assuming a stance characteristic of Leonine depictions. The bronze cast Capitoline wolf from 500 BC shares a similar patterning of the fur around the neck area and a leanness to her ribs like that of the Chimera. The body of the Chimera shares a likeness found in the lions of the Etruscan fibula, most notably in the rounding of the chest and the curve to the stomach. Lastly, the pose and spiked mane of the Chimera is a near match for that of a lion found on the neck of a Grecian vase imported from Spina. The most notable difference between the two comes in the representation of in the mouths of the beasts. The mouth of the Spina-based lion is open wide with the tongue outstretched past its teeth as if frozen mid-roar. Adversely, the Chimera's mouth is downturned, while the head is positioned upwards and slightly tilted in fear and pain. The maw of the beast is open in a sign of ferocity, aided by the forward bristling of the mane, assuming a tense pose. Some have read this as the beast readying itself to pounce. I, however, read this as the Chimera sinking away from an unseen assailant. This otherwise subtle action helps us to place this piece during the Bellerophon narrative in Homer's Iliad. The position of the head and the wounded appearance reveals that the Chimera was intended to be part of a larger sculptural group piece, but only the Chimera has survived. The tale of the Chimera as we see it today is the result of a restoration effort in 1785 based on a surviving piece. The tail was placed incorrectly, and that is why it appears to be biting the horn of its goat head. The Chimera of Arezzo creates interest. The twisting form and attention to detail across the body implores the audience to approach and explore the lean musculature of the beast. An inscription on the right foreleg of the Chimera translates to either devoted to the gods or gift to Tinia, showing it was intended as a large-scale votive offering to the Etruscan sky god Tinia. On November 15, 1553, during the time fortifications were being made to the city under the rule of Cosimo de' Medici, Grand Duke of Tuscany, the Chimera was unearthed in a trench near Arezzo, Italy, along with a collection of smaller bronze statues. The Chimera was immediately regarded as an item of immense importance, So it is no wonder as to why the piece eventually found itself added to Cosimo's immense collection. The Chimera was cleaned by Cosimo himself and Benvenuto Cellini, the famous sculptor and goldsmith. It was then placed on display in the Palazzo Vecchio in Florence. The 16th century art historian Vasari would study the work tirelessly, proclaiming it a prized work of antiquity. Eventually, Cosimo would adopt it as the symbol of his reign, and the Chimera of Arezzo resides in Florence to this day. Thank you all for listening, and I hope you had a good time.